Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Julia from Zeffy, and I oversee our community efforts. Today, we are talking all about how to get started on Zeffy's email tool. If you've never sent an email in Zeffy or a newsletter, you're in the right place. And by the way, let us know where you're dialing in from in the chat. Just drop a quick line to let us know. So by the end of today, you're going to walk away with three things: a real email drafted in your Zeffy account, a simple way to choose who gets it, and an easy way to duplicate and send it again. So, one tip for everyone: this session will be really valuable if you open up your Zeffy account and follow along with us. So, take a moment to get set up. And a bit of housekeeping before we dive in. We're have you for 1 hour today, so 45 minutes of content and 15 minutes for Q&A. Drop your questions into the Q&A panel at any time, not the chat, so we don't lose them and can get to all of your great questions. The recording, slides, and Q&A will all land in your inbox later today, so you can rewatch at any time. As with all our webinar sessions, it is recorded. And if you want to keep learning, we have more sessions coming up on newsletters. So next week, we have Alex joining us, and she is going to talk about all the emails you can send from Zeffy, the different kinds of emails. We have Vicky then joining us on the 24th, and she's going to talk about how to stay in touch more regularly with your supporters. And then at the end of the month, we have Jackie, who will talk about organizing groups and sending more targeted emails, specifically if you're coming from Gmail, as she switched over from Gmail to Zeffy. So these will all come in the follow-up email, but I'll also drop all the registration into the chat as well. And one quick note before we dive in. So in this walkthrough, you can also get into our community awards. So starting today, any new email in Zeffy this June, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win a $500 donation to your nonprofit. It doesn't have to be a newsletter. It could be a thank you, an event recap, an appeal, a monthly update, an invite, anything you've been meaning to send. And the top newsletters are going to get featured in our new Zeffy template library for other nonprofits to get inspiration from, with your organization credited. And we'll always ask first before featuring your newsletter. But just to let you know, anything you draft today will automatically be entered. And the full details you can find at this URL that I'm going to paste in the chat. And more info will come in the follow-up email as well. So quick poll here before we dive in. I'm curious where everybody is starting from today with their email efforts. So I'm going to launch this. Let us know where you are starting from with your email so we can help tailor the content today. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, interesting. So the majority of folks are switching from Mailchimp or another tool. Many have sent emails before, but not from Zeffy. Great. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing. And on that note, for anyone coming from Mailchimp, so switching is really easy. Your contacts can be imported in just a few clicks, and we're going to run through that later in the session. And most importantly, your donor list and your newsletter list is going to live in the same place. So you don't have to juggle between tools anymore when you bring everything into Zeffy. And I think most importantly, unlike Mailchimp or a constant contact, with Zeffy, there is no subscriber cap or paid tiers. Whether your list is 200 or 20,000 or 200K, the price will stay at zero, like everything else on Zeffy. So there's no limit to how many contacts you can have in your Zeffy donor management or CRM, and there's no limit to how many emails you can send. So just wanted to share that for folks who may not be aware. And of course, that can really add up. Many teams that switch from Mailchimp save hundreds a year. And one more thing to add on this for you Mailchimp or Constant Contact users, our team is working really hard on building an easy way for you to bring your email templates over as well. So stay tuned for more on that in a couple of weeks. Okay, so just a very quick refresher for people on the call today who may just be getting started with email on, these are two terms you're going to hear a lot. Open rate, which is of everybody you send to, the percentage of people who open your email. And click rate is of everyone you send to, the percentage of people who click a link. These are important for tracking email engagement. And you can track both of these in Zeffy as well as donations. So we're going to get to that later, but and don't worry about hitting a magic number here. I just wanted to share these as a bit of a refresher for folks. Great. Okay, enough of me talking. Today, I want to introduce our speaker, Ariel Wan, founder of the Mamas Network. Ariel runs both her fundraising and newsletters in Zeffy. So she's going to walk us through how she uses the email tool and how you can do that too. Ariel, before we jump in and I hand it over to you, can you tell us a little bit about the Mamas Network and what led you to start it?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ariel Wan. I started the Mamas Network nonprofit 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now. And it is a support community. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that supports moms. And it started because I personally, I have two kids. They're 5 and 8, and I suffered really horribly with postpartum depression. And during that time, resources were very limited for moms, especially around support, and especially around just on the mom and not about your baby. And I noticed that there was a need and a gap, and especially post COVID, there were even less resources. So I decided that I was sick and tired of hearing that there's no village, that there's nowhere for moms to go to find people, and they're isolated and alone. So I decided to build a nonprofit myself. And Zeffy has been a really big part of that. My background, professional background, I have 20 years of marketing communications experience in the nonprofit and for-profit sectors. So I have experience managing large and small nonprofits. So when I came to do my own, I really wanted to do it right from the beginning, authentically, financially, fiscally, conservatively. So Zeffy has been wonderful. And through the work that I've been doing with parents, I've been always constantly thinking about what our main revenue driver is. And so we started a program. It's a co-working with on-site childcare center for parents. So working parents can bring their babies, their toddlers, get focused work done while they put their kids in a playroom under supervision. So everyone stays close to their kids and you can still get focused work done. And so we use Zeffy for fundraising, for memberships, for class packs, for merch sales. And we also use it for email. And so that's why I'm here to talk about how I use Zeffy emails. And I'm able to get 65% open rates and high click-throughs. And I'm here to show you kind of how I do it and why I like using Zeffy to write my emails, because I used to use Mailchimp. I've used Constant Contact in the past. I've used Vertical Response. I've used it all.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're really lucky to have you here with us. Your marketing background, your experience using Zeffy. Yeah, I think you're really excited for this session today. So going to stop sharing and hand it over to you to get started here.
Okay.
And for folks on the call, reminder to pull up your Zeffy account and follow along with us. Yes, this webinar will be available to view later. And please put your questions into the Q&A function. It helps us sort through and make sure to address everyone's questions.
Okay. Because I'm sharing my screen, I'm not going to be able to see the chat. So Julia, you'll have to let me know if I'm going too fast. All right. So here is our Zeffy. And it's loading a little slow. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh, you know why? It's because I'm not even. Okay. So we'll look at this later, but this was a monthly newsletter that I sent yesterday afternoon. And there are, I think it was like 60% opened. Yeah, 61% open. So that was yesterday's. But today I'm gonna start a new email newsletter for our Little Break co-work members. I like to send monthly newsletters to our followers so they can stay up to date with what's going on and so that they know what's happening that month. In addition to all of the automated emails that they get when they register for a Zeffy event. So all of my events are on Zeffy, so it's all in one ecosystem. And that makes it, when you send out emails, really easy to track. So I'm going to kind of create this email, and then you'll see just like how I do it. The thing that I really like about Zeffy emails or sending emails through Zeffy is I am a solo person. I don't have any staff helping. So, as like small nonprofits, we're very limited on like money and time. So, doing Zeffy emails is really quick because they have like really decent templates already out here that you can use. And I'm actually going to use this template that you can just like edit really quickly. So this is the template that they have. Actually, I picked a different template yesterday. I liked the other one better. I think it's this one. Yeah. So I like this because it has a good spread of like images with text. And the other thing about all of these templates are that they're mobile friendly as well. So here's where you can put in your title. This is a monthly update. Prior to writing any email, I always write down real quick like what I'm going to put in the email. So I have like this really terrible sheet of paper where I wrote like, okay, I want my highlight. I always want like a feature item that I want everyone to read. Like if they're not going to read anything else below the email, this is the one thing, the feature thing that I want them to learn about and to know about. So it's, well, this one actually, this is not the Mama's Network anymore, but little break, co-work, no prep book club. And then I want to replace this image. And you can drag and drop in here. You can upload using photos that are on your desktop. And so I'm going to put in this book club picture. And I want it horizontal so it doesn't push everything down. And then because I do this book club here, my click-through link is the No Prep Book Club. And this is also really nice because it kind of gets rid of that like human error of you copy and pasting the wrong link. This one's just like, this is the link that it is. And then that image is there. So I know the image and the link is there. So then on the bottom, I'm gonna write, and then here is where I'll put in like text copy that I can copy and paste later into it. You can like, what I like to do is I like to create like my first newsletter and say, this is going to be the first one that I do. And then every single month, I'm just going to go back and edit it and update it and like duplicate it and create the next one. So you can always have your copy pre-written and you can just copy and paste it in here. Or what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to basically create all the structures And then afterwards, you guys can go back and paste into your actual copy. But this one, some of the there's best practices of what I usually do in this first paragraph is a really great way to make people open your emails is to add a little bit of your personality, whether it's the brand's personality or you as an operator's personality. But I like to start the first feature as the event or the thing that I want people to do, which for this one is that I want them to sign up for this book club that we started. So my paragraph will probably be a mix of like why, what the challenge is to being a part of a book club as a parent, and the biggest problem is time. And so that why this book club is very unique and different is because you can bring the book that you want to read and use the time to read your book, and then we can all talk about it afterwards. And so that kind of information is more personal, and that is more what I would put in the copy. And then afterwards is where you would put in your button to
Ariel,
register
ju-
again.
just
Yeah.
a quick couple questions here on um, the link that you had previously
Hmm.
shared. What was the
Yeah.
link for, and how did you set that link up? Was it a campaign?
Ah, yes. So it is a Zeffy campaign. Um, let's see. I can I can show that. Everything's anonymized. Um, so I have a campaign for the No Prep Book Club that is here. So this is the event. And so when people are registering for it, that this is what they see. And it's a No Prep Book Club. It's happening this weekend, and then they add it here. So then in the back end, because I've created this campaign, Zeffy knows that I'm linking to that campaign. So the click through link here shows up. So these are all of the campaigns that I have through Zeffy. And like the word campaign in Zeffy, like doesn't necessarily mean like it could be events, it could be fundraising, it could be auctions, it could be shop. It could be membership. So as you can see, like I have my No Prep Book Club event here, and then I have other events, but then I also have these monthly rental memberships. I have this one is like we have a thrift closet, so if people want to donate $2 per item. So there's all these different campaigns, and so I link it to the appropriate campaign for what I'm talking about. So then here in the button, for registering, I want to make sure that this button links to the right campaign as well.
Great. And
Yeah.
how would you add a link to your website if it's outside of Zeffy? This is a question from
Oh,
Stacy.
yes. Yep. So instead of selecting one of these, all the way on the bottom it says custom link. And then this is where you just like paste your link that you want to do. And then you just click save and exit. And then then I have a custom link.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I continue down. And I want to tell them about three things. One, that we have new lockers. So it's like, what's up this month? Actually, that is how I talk. So let's keep that in here. So, like, what's up this month? We have new lockers for all your bags, for all of your bags and diaper bags and more bags. And I want to replace this image. So I go to replace and I pre-plan this, and you guys in your and however you guys operate and do your work, you can pre-plan all the things so that when you're actually physically assembling your newsletter it's a lot faster, or you can just kind of create it as you do it, and sometimes it's just up to the day and how you're feeling. So here's the locker. I don't really have a click through that I care for them. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just, if they do click on it, I'll just link it to our Little Break website. So that's where you do that custom link. And I save and exit. And then I'm going to say, like, visit Little Break website. I always like my call to action in my buttons to let people know exactly where they're going, because we all know this. Like, we hate clicking something, and then you're like, what did this take me to? Or like, I want to take an action, I don't know where to click. So you just kind of click everything and you hope it takes you to the right place. Um, Oh, another thing is if you have like your specific colors that you want to use, you can change your colors in here. So you can just put in a hex code if you know your hex codes. What I do, and it's because like we're such a small nonprofit, no one's above me that's going to be like, you're not following brand guidelines. So I'm just like, you know what, it's green. It's good. The link is correct. And I want this link to be a little break. Cowork.org, save and exit. So then new locker. Next thing I want to tell people about, you can rent an office by the hour. Because we have parents that are like, I need an office, but I don't need a full office. And I'm like, let's do this hourly rental. So now they can rent this office, a nice picture of it. I'm going to make it square. The reason why I keep doing things either square or horizontal is because I think about when you look at an email on mobile, a really tall picture is just going to take up the entire phone screen. And it's just more like scrolling. And so it's like if you can get your photo or image to be square or horizontal, then you can get to the information faster because images are just kind of like visual breaks to break in the information so people can absorb information in easier. All right, so this one is rent an office by the hour. This is not a campaign of any kind. This is just like a membership page. So I want them, I'm sorry, not membership page, the hourly rental. Where's the hourly rental? I don't have hourly rental on here. Maybe it is a page. Let's pretend that I did, right? And the actual link is here. So I think on my launch pad, or not my launch pad, on the membership page, I believe there's an hourly rental. I'm gonna fix this later. I'm not gonna send it before I do all this work. Um, but let's pretend that's the right link, and then I'm gonna make sure that this one uh, rent an hourly office. Make sure this one clicks to the right place too. And I'm going to pretend like this is the right place. I'm also going to change this color to green. And, this will be like updated copy. Update copy on how rentals work and what room it is. And then, okay, so I wanted to add one more thing, but the template only had two. So what I can do is I can just duplicate this entire section, this column, and this button here that is the copy. And so it duplicates it, and then I can push it down so that there's this like zigzag order. And then over here, I'll say new membership options. And then I want to update this picture. It's a good picture. This one. Because it's finally sunny outside. I don't know. Oh, I think I saw where everyone is. But when you live in Michigan, you really appreciate when the weather is beautiful and the sky is blue because there's so many times out of the year where it's just gray and sad and cold. So the second it's nice out, us Michiganders are out in shorts, just absorbing all that sunlight. All right, so this one is our membership. And I actually have a link to our co-work memberships. So here, if I wanted the action for them to purchase memberships, I would send them directly to where you can buy, which is on the Zeffy page. But if I wanted it just as like a general thing that's more visual and I want to send them to my website, which I probably will do in this instance, I'm going to send them to this membership page so that they can compare and look at this visually, get an understanding versus the page that I would have sent them to is the Zeffy page, which is more just like transactional. It's like this is a little membership sometimes, parents only. So I'm going to send them to this URL. So it's a custom link. And make sure this one's also updated. And then this is starting at blah, 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 more copy later. All right. So then this last part, I like having that personalized intro, and I also like a little something special for your biggest fans at the bottom. Um, uh, we're now like so used to this culture of like long form content or like long videos, long emails, and then now we're doing like tons of short stuff, and there's too much content. There's like short clips of everything. You just like need to absorb all this information. I think for emails, especially for nonprofits, when you send like a monthly newsletter and you have so much information that you want to let all of your followers know about all the amazing things that you do, um, you kind of want to give them a reason to like read all the way to the bottom. And when you're not like a retail or sales organization where you're like, get to the bottom and there's like a discount, like a little hook to get them to the bottom, you can't really do that. So, what can we do to make it a little bit more interesting, to engage our followers more so that they read your entire email? And that's what I like to do at this bottom. So, at the bottom, I usually like to do a thing, I call it the founder's corner, but basically it's a little like tidbit, a little behind the scenes of how we're doing something or what we're working on next and in the future. So here I'll probably, I'll do like a founder's corner. And I actually wanted to include a picture, and this template didn't have it. So I'm going to insert an image. And I want to talk about our really cool Sam Hill event. That is a way to get out of the office and meet their partners and get to know their community. And so this one, when people click on it, I want them to actually sign up for this event, which is called Party on the Yard, and it's a monthly event. And I also create that in Zeffy. So then here, I'm going to talk about Party on the Yard, meet your coworkers, family, et cetera, et cetera. This started, and it's like a personal thing of like how I kind of write, a little bit of like how this started and why it's so important to have coworkers, even if you work remotely, and this need to like gather. And Sam Hill is a really great partner of ours. 10% of proceeds go to us. And so then I'll say like register, and the button should be green, and this will go to Party on the Yard. So then, awesome. So that's about the end of my email. I want a better footer. And so what I do is I go to my website, and this is something that you don't have to keep adding in the future when you make copies. And then also, I'm sure eventually Zeffy is going to have like a template, like you can create and set your own. I mean, they do it now, but you can create and set your own templates. But because I'm doing this as the first time, I'm showing you how I do it. But I take my footer basically from my website, and then I just paste it, and then I make sure the font size is itty bitty. And then, oh, and I'll link it up because you always want to link it back to your website. And so if you want to do links, this is the link here. Paste it, save it. I don't need this anymore. Delete it. There's a lot of space. Delete that too. So then this is kind of like that really quick email that I just put together. Say like June update. Yeah. Yeah. So then after anything before we go to the next step, Julia?
Yeah, this is great. Folks on the line, let us know if you're following along. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you're following along here. There's a couple of questions I want to get to. So first, is there a way to print or create a printable version of the newsletter for members or donors that want snail mail?
Oh, I'm sure there is, because the email that sends out can be opened as like a web page, and then you can essentially just download it as a PDF,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah.
a Zeffy answer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you can open the email in your Gmail and then just save it as a PDF and simply print that out.
Right.
And we have Mary asking, is it better to send two per month so that it's more focused and not so long each time?
Yeah. So, if we want to talk about strategy of how often we send emails, so I think so. This is very dependent on your audience and who your audience is and what their behaviors are around technology and also around like consumption of information. I know that my audience members, like the vast majority, the people that I serve who are opening my emails, they are often working parents of young children. And so, and they're also like millennials. So, like, we look at our phones, we see the email, we'll look at it, we'll scroll real quick. We probably, like, I'm definitely someone that opens all my emails. I know people who live their lives, and maybe there are people in this group that leave emails unread. And so it'll say like a million, like 1,000 emails unread or new. And that gives me the heebie jeebies. But some people love to live their life like that, and that's okay. So you're battling, like information overload, so many emails, so many inboxes. So if you send them a lot of emails, will they eventually start ignoring them? If you only send them once or twice, are they going to specifically seek you out because they know that there's always this email that they get at this time from this organization that they care about? And they know that the content in the emails is something that they want to read about, it's very relevant to them. So I think, like, depending on how many events, if you think it's worth sending a second one. So for me, I send automated emails for any of our events that are created in Zeffy. So Zeffy automatically sends out like thank you and follow-up emails. But also when you create a new event, you can also send a dedicated email to all of your recipients just about that event. So then the email they're receiving is just like a singular call to action, which is like learn about this event, and register for this event. And that I find is a really great way of getting a participation in that event. But when you run and operate so many events, it's very it would become cumbersome and also like too much to send people one singular email about every single event that you do. So that's why having that monthly newsletter is a really good idea. And then I would say, like, if you're really top heavy, or if like throughout the entire month there's a ton of events, maybe it makes sense for you to do two emails, one in the one at the first, one on the 15th. But whatever it is, if you do it when you do it infrequently, you just need to make sure that there's an expectation of when it's going to drop, like when your email is going to come out, because you want it to be something that like people are like, I got to read this to like know what's happening this month. And then how you organize and prioritize what you highlight in your email, that's another strategy. It's like, do you do it by day? Do you do it by, like that one event that you need to make sure you have it completely filled? And so there's different ways of how you can structure your email to get the most like impactful response that you want.
Great, thank you. One quick question before we move on to choosing your recipients, and it's how can I add our logo image to white space? This is when the white space in one column is much longer than the adjacent column because text is different sizes in the column. So maybe just a quick refresher of how to add your logo.
Sure. So you can do, let's see. I'll do my little break logo. Oh, I definitely don't, as much as I love my logo, I don't want my logo taking up this much space. So a really quick and easy way is actually to just, let's see, I think it was like literally just doing this. And then ta-da, logo looks great. And like, do I want more padding? Do I want a little padding? Or up and down. I want a little higher. So I could do that instead. Um, this one is, or if you wanted to keep it kind of in this way, let's see, we could just do an image here instead. I'll just put it back in there. To left align, then I can delete this. I'll delete this. So now it looks like this. So now I have like my logo on my left, whatever version of my newsletter is on the right, and I can make sure that this custom links to my Little Break website, which is here.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Think we can move on to the subject line and recipients now.
Yeah. Okay. So then you hit next. And so this is where you put in your subject line. So I have previous work experience working in the entertainment industry and talk about having a ton of events all the time. So when we send our monthly newsletters, we're like, what do we put in our subject line that will get people to open it? So, putting it and saying like June newsletter and then like your nonprofit, like that's not giving me a reason to open it unless I'm like, I want to know everything in your June newsletter. But if you put some teasers, like 3-word teasers, and pick like 3 major things that you want to promote that might be a little bit different and grab different types of people. Um, for my email, because I only have 3 or 4 things, I'll probably just like, it'll be like, Little Break Cowork has a newsletter because this is my first newsletter. So it's always nice to, if it's the first one, get people really excited because you want to think of it as it's not so much like a passive newsletter that you just like people pick up or you throw at them. Like think of it more like, it's like your blog. It's like something that people subscribe to because they want to like read about it and read from you. So you want to put in your subject line, just it's more conversational. Like Little Break Cowork has a newsletter, and then I'll say like new lockers rent by the hour or offices by the hour and more. And then, I always say like and more because like there's more stuff coming. And then that is how I would do this subject line. Um, the sender, I have it so that it just comes from this general email so that people don't say it's coming from Ariel at the Mamas Network, but the reply to address is if someone did hit reply and wanted to respond to my newsletter, it will come directly to me. And then they also have an option where you can like add a file. I've never had to like add an attachment, but that's essentially what that would mean. And so I would hit next. And then this is where you choose your recipients. Um, how do we keep them from going to supporters promotional folder? Julia's not here. I'm going off script. The subject line seems too strong. Sorry. Okay, so how do you keep them from going to the supporters promotional folder? Is it going? Or if it really depends on, I think it depends on what your content is. If it's selling, that is very promotional. I don't know if this might be beyond my pay grade, is if there's like a technical way of ensuring emails know that it should go into general inbox versus promotional. But I think it has something to do with the content of what you put in it. Um, subject line seems long. They can be too long. There is a recommended amount of how long your subject line should be. And I think Zeffy actually has a cap on it. But if you look at all of your emails, so basically you can see how much subject shows. So you want to put your most important stuff always in the front. You always want to like front load it. You never want to put like like the most basic, like obvious things in the front. So you want to do like your most important thing that you want people to take action on, and that's like the first three words, and then your next few. It definitely can be long, but that's why some people, depending if they look on their desktop, they might see the entire long subject. Sometimes they see it on their phone, so they only see like 3 or 4 words. So that's why it's always important that, like, if you do put in a long subject line, make sure you put the most important stuff in the front. Okay, so then now we're going to go to adding recipients. If this is the first time using Zeffy and you have a list of contacts to import, or if you have Mailchimp, for example, so Zeffy has made it really easy for you to import these lists. And you can see over here, there's 3 different ways. You can directly copy and paste. So I saw a lot of people say that they're just still using Gmail. You could just copy all those emails and just paste it directly in here. Or if you have a Mailchimp account active still, you can just connect it, and then it just asks you to log in. It just dumps in all that kind of stuff. I don't have Mailchimp anymore, so I won't be able to show you that. But I did use another platform for all of our co-working management, and I eventually got off of that platform and just did all of my memberships and stuff on Zeffy. And I eventually plan on creating my own thing. But I was able to download a spreadsheet of all of the people that signed up, and then I uploaded it into Zeffy. And so Zeffy gives you a template that you can download, that you can, like the first name, last name, email, language, that you can input yourself. Or honestly, like everything downloads in similar ways. And so I just uploaded one. I have a little mock-up that we can download so you can see it. So I uploaded this XLS file and just
Yeah, and
upload.
just for folks asking, I think Pamela was asking how to import from Constant Contact. We don't have a direct import unlike Mailchimp, but with Constant Contact, you just want to export your contact list as a CSV and use this method to upload into Zeffy.
Yeah. So it shows you like all the fields that were in your spreadsheet that you uploaded, and then what it basically should reflect in Zeffy. So this is where, like, like if they didn't have the right fields, or you didn't have fields that were appropriate, you can kind of like update and fix that on how it uploads on this side. But it's very straightforward, and I think Zeffy can also help you with it. But when this is done, so then I hit continue, and then it just analyzes it and then uploads it. No issues detected. Launch import. So now it says like 15 recipients have been added. So I'm going to send this email to these 15 people. Now let's pretend I already have emails on here, which I do. And so I can, for this email, because it's my first Little Break Cowork email, and not every single person that encounters the Mamas Network would care about what's happening at Little Break Cowork. So I want to be very cautious that I'm not sending my followers emails that they don't really care about. And that, because the thing that we all fear is the unsubscribe. Because when they unsubscribe, you can't resubscribe them, and they have to like really do it themselves. So we don't want to scare them away, but because this is my first newsletter, and because they're all followers and they support us, and this is also where the content of that opening of like this is our first newsletter. I'm gonna do all of my contacts, and then what I'm gonna do after I send this email is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna see all the people that open the email, and I will create a separate list of people that were not Little Break Cowork members that still opened the email and took some kind of action. So then I know that these people like want to know things about what's happening at this little break cowork because they might not need it now. Maybe they're interested. Maybe they just want to know what's happening. But it's like they'll excuse you one time sending them something that they don't really care about, and it's about what you do to kind of cultivate and curate that email list for the next time. And then when you have all your different lists, like I have for 20 moms. These are automatically generated ones from Zeffy based on members. But I have like people that did a fair, last year's donors, anyone that came to like that event. There's like a bunch of different lists. I have one for a little break, which is my 242 contacts, and I'd love to add on to that. But basically, you can choose whatever list that you want to use. You also have the opportunity to exclude certain people. So, for example, if I'm like, I want all of my contacts, but I don't want to send it to my board, I don't want to send it to my volunteers. It's not really to the vendors that, came for the birth and baby fair. So then it'll tell you like how many people in the end that we need to send it to. And then you hit next. And then you can either send it now or you can schedule your email for another date and time, and then you can schedule it. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not sending it.
Yeah, and a lot of people are asking about unsubscribes, and yes,
Mm,
those that is always included at the bottom of every Zeffy email.
right. And at least in America, it's a legal requirement that you have to very easily have a one-click unsubscribe button. And so that's why I'm like, as marketers, we're just like, we fear the unsubscribe.
Great.
Yeah. So what's next now? I've created this. Any other questions about it? We want to
Yeah,
look at some stats.
yeah, just taking a look here. Yeah, let's just in the interest of time, let's take a look at some stats. So to recap, we've drafted an email in Zeffy, we've chosen our recipients, we've uploaded a list from another platform, and now we have theoretically sent this email, and we're going to take a look at how this email has performed and how we can easily duplicate this and send it again next month. And then we'll take
Yes.
some additional questions.
Yeah. So uh I was gonna originally, Julie and I were talking, I was like, oh, I can just duplicate our monthly event, like our actually monthly events email, but that would just take too long. It would just take way too long. So instead, I was like, oh, I'll just create a new newsletter for a little break cowork, and then I could just show you what our Mama's Network monthly newsletter looks like. So I sent this email yesterday at 4:36 p.m. Um, and so this was my subject header. So June events with the Mamas Network, cancer support. I know I told you that you should put your important stuff in the first, and I just wrote June events with the Mamas Network. But listen, I know my parents, sometimes they look really fast and they're like, oh, right, because they're already looking for Mamas Network email. So they just need to know that this is the June one. Um, but 61% opened already. Purchases, click-throughs, they're slowly increasing. A lot of people go back to emails. So here we can look at the heat map. I love this heat map. Everyone loves a good heat map. So this tells you where everyone clicked in your email. So in my email, I have this. So it says first name. So they have those like variables. So it'll say like, hi, John. And it's a very personal thing. Like my first paragraph is like, I just love a hate relationship. June. It's like all these kids, freaking kids. But summertime is happening. He'll be in camps or he'll be at Little Break Co-work. Always tie into your own business. And then my second paragraph is about this like new monthly support group that I really want people to know about and to learn and share and register for. So I see here that like 3 people clicked on here, 6 people clicked on the cancer support community, which is awesome. It looks like 6 people were really interested about the Very Naughty Cell book. And then 6 people clicked on the register for the cancer support group. And this link actually goes to their cancer support group link, which is actually like a Google Doc. So I'll have to talk to them about that. Um, but that's how they are going to be able to track who's coming to the group. And then I scroll down, and I've been playing around with my monthly newsletter and the format of how it looks and how the content organizes for a while. So I have this on my website. So I basically copy this calendar at like a glance for people so they can like zoom in if they want to see when things are happening, just like real quick, and then scroll down. And then I have everything broken up into these categories of like support group, play group, mama social event, special event, all family event. That might change in the future, but right now I feel like this is really good. So I have like the two support groups that we have this month, the different play groups. And then when I see this heat map, I can see kind of like where all the different interests are so far. So there's a lot of people really interested in mamas and littles outside, but I was definitely there this morning and only one person came. So they'll come next week or the following week, and it's okay. But I know that there's interest and they will all eventually show up. Um, so I keep looking down. I'm like, ooh, 12 people learned about this no prep book club that's happening on Sunday. But you guys might have noticed earlier on the Zeffy page, no one had registered for it. So they're all thinking about it, probably looking at their calendars, try to figure it out. They'll probably go back to this email later and then end up registering. But that's really good for me to know because, you know, when I look at the registrations, I'm like, no one's registered or signed up, but people are definitely interested and they're clicking and they want to like just kind of learn more about it. So I know it's happening. And I know that parents make a lot of last minute decisions. So I wouldn't be surprised by like come Friday night or Saturday, we get registrations for Sunday. And then so you keep scrolling, and like this is a really long email. In the end, it's like view the whole calendar. You're just like, I just need to look again. But then on the bottom, here's that founders corner that I was talking about. So this kind of like I kind of like put in a little picture. It's not as refined and beautiful as this top photo, but it's like I always thank them for making it to the end of this very long email. You show appreciation, you recognize them, you see them, and I just kind of tell them a little bit about like what's happening, what projects am I working on. I wrote, the photo above is a sneak peek of a pilot program that we're doing because so many people want this nonprofit or this version of this co-working with childcare concept in their communities, and how can we help support them? And so I've been working on this like pilot with this other mom in Novi, and like look at like people, like 8 people clicked on this. They're going to the village desk to see like what that's all about. Um, and when when you write the stuff at the bottom, this is kind of like where you can find your most devoted followers, like your most devoted members. These are the people that like you run into in the wild, and they're like, "Hey, I heard that you are, propagating, you're doing this thing," and you know that they read the bottom of your email, or they heard from someone else that read the bottom of your email because that's the only place that they would have known about it. And that's when like you can make a note like, I want to talk to that person because that person's following along. They really care. They're waiting to see how they can get involved. And that's how you can note it. And another way that you can see like who was in your email and who clicked on it. So so they show you everyone that opened the email, clicked it, purchased something, and then bounce. So I have to look at bounces to make sure it's doing okay. But like this will show you the emails of all the people that made a click. So then I know that those are the people that are like very engaged and they're clicking on my emails. And Zeffy also has ways that you can basically follow their progression, see what they did, all the communications, how if they opened it, if they did not open it, if they clicked on something, if they made a purchase. So this is like a way that you can see how engaged some of your members are, and that helps you and your development teams or you know who to ask for more engagement, to get advice from. I learned this recently. When you ask for advice, when you ask for money, people give you advice. When you ask for advice, people give you money. So you can see who you can get advice from. But all of this, because it's all in the Zeffy ecosystem, it just makes it really easy and quick to make these decisions, to take actionable insights on things. And that's why I'm here saying you guys should use Zeffy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ariel. This has been a great walkthrough. We have about 5 minutes to get to a couple questions. Before we do, I just want, because I saw it earlier, people asking how to collect emails from their website, and I know you do this really well, so I wanted to
Yeah.
let you just quickly chat about the sign up form here.
Yeah. So it is as important as donate. Emails are. They're getting their information, opting into your email. So you should always put it like front and center on your homepage, like I have on mine. It's like two actions: sign up for emails, or you can donate now. And then Zeffy has this in their link, so you can link to it. And basically, it's just really easy. They just put in their emails. Another way that we collect emails is because I do all of my events and selling and everything on Zeffy, and I do the campaigns through Zeffy. All of their emails are automatically collected when they engage with us on Zeffy. And so I think like direct opting into this specific newsletter form, I've only gotten 200 emails from that. But that's like a way to catch people who are just like they just want to sign up. They might not be, you don't know how low in the funnel or higher in the funnel they are. Maybe they're vendors. Maybe they just want to like know about it. Maybe you guys are going to sign up for it. And I'll just get your email addresses, but not any more information. But as they interact with us more, the more actions they take through Zeffy, the more information we're going to start collecting and being able to get like a whole picture of our customer and future donor.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And couple minutes left before people have to drop. Just a quick reminder, we have a short survey at the end of every webinar. It takes 30 seconds or so, and it's completely anonymous. Feel free to scan the QR code or dropping a link in the chat right now. Let us know how we did today. Did this meet your expectations? What would we cover? What would you like to see us cover next? Hoping this was useful for folks. And I think we have a couple more minutes so we can get to some Q&A, but just wanted to share this in case people have to drop as it's the top of the hour here. Okay, so couple questions. Let's see. Can you embed calendars into the newsletter? Create Mary creates calendars in Airtable and embeds them to her website. Is it possible to embed calendars into this newsletter?
Um, Typically, and this is not even like Zeffy specific, but like typically, I think like emails can only do like if you're talking about movement, like GIFs or like HTML5s, to do kind of like movement in an emails or that you're able to manipulate. But really, I think like what you probably do with your Airtable calendar is just basically take like a screenshot of the calendar and then upload the picture and then link it to your actual calendar. So they're not trying to look at this calendar and like work with it from their phone or from this email. It clicks through to the actual, Airtable function.
Yeah, that's a great call. And you don't want your emails to be too heavy too with an embedded calendar. So an image
Hmm.
is likely the best path.
Yeah. And then D Hicks is like, I'm having a terrible time resizing images. So if you click on the image, there's like these blue lines that pop up on the side, and you can just like click it and just move it in, and that's how it resizes the image this way. And I also want to say that I was part of a few people when Zeffy was doing research and development on the email marketing platform, and I used to use Mailchimp, and they were like, "What would it take to get you to move off of Mailchimp?" And I said, "I need something that's very efficient because I just don't have time, and you need to have like an email that does all the things, and but you can do it really quickly." So since then, I think it's only been a couple months like the improvements that they've been making to all the features, refining things. They're very quick on like responding to feedback. So I know that it's like they're just iterating on it and just making it more and more like user friendly and efficient. There's like small things like right now, the only way to connect a link is by clicking link. But if they can do Command K, that's way faster. And I know like that's on their pipeline to do. So it's like some functionality that might seem a little weird when you give them feedback on how like, it could work better. They're very good about like making improvements on the platform.
100%. Mm, Seeing custom. Great. Yeah, on the custom domain part, I won't go into too much detail here, but we have a great support article on this that walks you through. So we'll send over some of those resources in our follow-up email to this webinar session. But we are just over time now, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So Ariel, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your Zeffy email tips and strategies with us. Yeah, big thank you. And uh, hope everyone found this useful. Look out for the next session. Again, we'll send those details via email. So thanks again, Ariel. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.